welcome to Marketing Monday on Monday, December 5th. This is a section of the show called Wins and Fails, where we go over all the wins and fails in the last week in marketing and business. And we're going to start off with a big, fat win. We're not talking about Elon. We're not talking about Sam Bankman-Fried. We're talking about a win for a group of people that maybe you're in this chat. Gamers! It's a win for gamers! At least according to the president and vice chairman of Microsoft, Brad Smith, who wrote a very hilarious paid article for the Wall Street Journal opinion section that claims that Microsoft's Activision Blizzard acquisition is just, quote, good for gamers. Now, I want to give some backstory here because Microsoft has been going on a PR offensive about this acquisition, which you heard about a few months ago, the $70 billion buyout of Activision Blizzard by Microsoft. They've been on a PR offensive because they have two problems they need to solve. On the one hand, they have to convince Wall Street, investors, and Xbox fans in general that it was a good idea to spend what amounts to the GDP of Afghanistan, Iceland, the Bahamas, and Jamaica combined, $70 billion that they spend to buy a failing company that was going through a disaster, okay? The other side is that they have to convince governments that it's no big deal and won't make them any stronger, so it doesn't get blocked on monopoly reasons. So they have to say it's a really good idea and also a really bad idea at the exact same time. And it's led to some extremely hilarious doublespeak from Microsoft. So for example, in this article, he says Sony is like Blockbuster and they're like Netflix. And Sony's stuck in the past and their futuristic Netflix style of gaming is gonna send Sony out of the industry, basically. It's gonna replace everything. But in the same sentence, he says Xbox is a third place competitor in console gaming and we're stuck behind Sony's dominant PlayStation. Now, be clear that Microsoft is 18 times bigger than Sony and 38 times bigger than Nintendo. So they have to pretend that like Sony is this big, strong, dominant player they can't ever hope to beat. But also they have to make sure investors know that this is a really smart idea and it's gonna put Sony in the dust. It's like this weird thing he has to cover all these bases. Then in this article, he talks about how innovative Game Pass is. He says, Game Pass is the future of games. And then again, in the very next breath, says that for Game Pass to actually succeed, Microsoft needs a full library of popular games. And as things stand, we simply don't have enough games. So he basically saying that Game Pass has no games and nobody likes it, but also it's the future of gaming and it's gonna be amazing. Then he talks about Call of Duty, which is the big hinging issue. A lot of this article is about Call of Duty. And again, Call of Duty is the vital area where this argument is coming from between Sony and Microsoft. He says, any suggestion that this buyout would lead to anti-competitive effects is completely absurd. And this is from Microsoft's statement. Call of Duty is consistently outranked in user polls on PlayStation. Call of Duty is consistently outranked in Metacritic scores. Call of Duty is consistently outranked in industry reviews of top games. Basically, the official PR point of Microsoft right now is that Call of Duty sucks ass and there's no reason to buy it. A very hilarious distillation of that would be this tweet. Sony's basically saying, if there's no Call of Duty on PlayStation, you might as well set your PS5 on fire. There's no point in even owning one. And Microsoft is saying, nobody plays Call of Duty. I honestly don't even know why we bought it. Both of them are desperate to say the opposite person's property is either great or terrible. It's a very, very funny, unique situation. But again, regulators have issues with it. UK has a big problem with it. And the FTC, which is America's governing body, is reportedly split 2-2 on whether or not to block this merger. But if the vote changes or if the chairman, Lena Khan, steps in, this could end up being a blocked merger. And so Microsoft is very, very focused on convincing the public that this will not lead to any sort of monopoly power. And what's likely to happen, again, there's so much money in the line, I doubt that the merger will get blocked. But what it does seem like it's gonna happen is that Microsoft will have to make some concessions. And what it's looking like now is the main concession they'll have to make is to sign an agreement that guarantees that Sony gets Call of Duty as well as Xbox, same time, same date, for 10 years. It remains to be seen. I do think it's anti-competitive. I think it's going to make Microsoft Game Pass a little too strong, give it too much of a lead. And the most recent COD did $1 billion in sales in like a few days. It's big and very important, and it will hurt Sony significantly if they don't have COD. But if it goes through with this rule, I think that's not too bad. But following up with another win, speaking of Call of Duty, let's give a big win for the real use of the game Call of Duty, okay? And that is getting Gen Z to join the military. Woo! Woo! Yes, sir. There was a recent leak showing how the U.S. Army was planning to pay streamers like me millions of dollars in order to play Call of Duty to get Gen Z excited about the Army. The reason this did not happen is because Activision Blizzard got hit with sexual harassment lawsuits and the Army got scared. Here's one of their charts. Dude, Stone Mountain 64 was gonna get 150K. The COD League, Paramount Plus's Halo show is gonna get nearly $1 million. You know what? I'm less mad about advertising the military and more about how they chose things that get like no fucking views. Yeah, COD Mobile. That's who we want in our military, by the way. The most cracked kids on COD Mobile. So anyway, we'll call that, I guess, a win for content creators who are getting paid despite no evidence that they work. This week, I have literally almost nothing to say about Elon Musk and Twitter. We've covered it extensively. So on that front, I'm going to give one minor update, one minor win. If anyone in chat happens to be a major multi-million-dollar advertiser, well, guess what? Twitter is, as I mentioned, desperate right now to boost revenue. And so they're offering absolutely unprecedented incentives. If you spend over $500,000, they will match your spend 100%. So if you spend $500,000, they'll give you the ad spend of $1 million spend, which is kind of crazy. At least as someone who's worked in marketing, doubling my budget just for going on Twitter is actually kind of crazy. We'll see if it works, but it would make someone be interested in go checking it out. A pretty big aggressive ad spend. That's the only thing I want to update on is that Twitter is very clearly needs to boost revenue. Something has to change with Twitter in terms of boosting revenue quickly, or the company literally faces bankruptcy. There is no easy way to influx more cash unless he's going to sell Tesla shares and fund it himself. But either way, that's bad for Tesla. So he's got to figure out something, and hopefully it's increasing revenue. Now I want to talk about a guy that I feel like I've been underserving on Wins and Fails for the past few weeks, and that is the king chief liar himself, Sam Bankman-Fried, the LeBron of crypto. I want to get back into him because he has been on what can only be described as a PR tour. He has been spending all of his time since the collapse of FTX going on different random crypto radio shows, TV shows, speaking engagements, just trying to paint the same picture that he's a lovable goof who made an oopsie. And I want to go through an extensive list of some of his lies that I've already seen, because he is going around and saying a lot of things that are going to be permissible in court. So let's go through it real quick. SBF of FTX said he couldn't have hacked into FTX because he didn't know how to code. But in September 2019, he said the goal of the code is used to be functional versus the code is the goal. My goal is to write the most beautiful code I can. Then he's an interview where he says he's broke. I committed no fraud. I didn't keep anything. I'm broke. Why would I have committed fraud if I came out broke? I have no money. That's interesting though, because in the very most recent funding round of FTX, where they raised $420 million from investors to grow the business, he cashed out personally $300 million of that. Very interesting. He says he's down no money, but this is very recent. But additionally, he claimed he didn't know how a $16.4 million Bahamas mansion got listed under his parents' names. That's very weird. He just doesn't know. He didn't know where the money went. He didn't know why the funds were commingling between Alameda and FTX. He didn't know why his parents were showing up with property. He didn't know why all these bribes, basically legalized bribes, were sent to various politicians. He didn't know. It's just a goof. Then, here's a great one. I fucking love this interview.
A lot of people look at you and see Bernie Madoff.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think that's who I am at all, but I understand why they're saying that. People lost money. And I mean, at the end of the day, look, there's a question of what happened and why and who did what, what caused the meltdown.
No, there is.
I think that there was no real business there. The whole thing, as I understand it, I think was just one big Ponzi scheme, right? FTX, that was a real business.
To be clear, the more details that have come out have proven that it was not. From the beginning, it was essentially a money losing that was only funded by defrauding customer accounts and replacing them with useless FTT token.
One of the reasons FTX went bankrupt is because FTX deposits
Yep.
were used to pay Alameda's creditors. Carolyn Ellison said you knew about that. Is that true?
You know, best I can tell, Alameda did have a big position open on FTX.
Now, bear in mind, everybody, that when he answers these questions, he will use wiggle room words like best I can tell, or to the best of my knowledge, or as far as I know. But this stuff, this footage will be useful in court for nailing this guy down, because there is no doubt. There's no doubt we're going to find emails and connections showing that he did know. Of course, he was living in a fucking 10-person Bahamas mansion with everybody from Alameda. It was all commingled.
I am no cryptocurrency expert. I'm no finance expert,
Yep.
but I don't think you answered my question.
So the guy grills him. He dances around it. He doesn't answer. And then the guy asks him point blank.
But I don't think you answered my question. I was asking,
Yep.
did you know?
Look at his face, dude. I've never seen someone more fucking guilty. Look at his fucking smile fade. Look how he can't make eye contact. This dude's guilty as fucking sin. He's like repeating the words like, what? Let me process this. It's a simple fucking question, Sam.
But as you know, the FTX terms of service
Yep.
tell the people who signed up, none of the digital assets in your account are the property of or shall be or may be loaned to FTX trading. But you're saying that happened.
My understanding is
Good interview, by the way. The guy actually grilled him. And that's only the beginning, because you see, obviously I've talked a lot about what happened with FTX. I was going to try and do another thing where I draw a graph and sort of like catch everybody up on how simple it is. But if someone's done it better than me, they've done it better than me. And what I found was this hilarious video from a guy named Joma, who actually in 3 minutes makes the whole process pretty fucking simple to understand.
Oh, hey, excuse me. Are you a crypto exchange? Yep, that's correct. You can call me SBF. I'm a philanthropist, and FTX is the 3rd largest crypto exchange. Yeah, well, I got $8 billion here, and I just need to put it somewhere safe where I can trade. Of course, my one goal, is to do right by customers. I'm a philanthropist. You know, it is really important that marketplaces act in a responsible manner here. It's not about how much money we make, but it's about the impact we can make to change the world. I mean, I believe everything we do is for the greater good of the ecosystem and for the end user. All right, here you go. Thank you. Okay, so we're gonna deposit here. And know that we hold our customer assets 1-to-1, so you have nothing to worry. Sorry, I slipped. Are you alright? Yeah, I'm fine. I just slipped. You still have my money, right? Oh, yes, of course. Yeah, here it is. Huh. Anyways, thanks. I'm gonna head out. Actually, can I have my money back? Oh, yeah, no problem. Just give me a minute. Oh. Here you go. Where's the rest of it? Fucking tokens!
So you guys can see, basically, taking customers' funds, using it to punt on Alameda on terrible crypto trades, and lavish gifts and stuff for himself, his staff, and his family, and stupid marketing spend. That's basically where all the money went. Now, he is in a situation because his ex-girlfriend who ran Alameda Research has basically already admitted that he knew a lot of the fraud went down and he's basically complicit. He is basically throwing her under the bus in a lot of these interviews. And he may come to regret it because as of yesterday, she was spotted in New York. Now, the only reason she would have left Hong Kong to go to New York is because she's cutting a deal with the Justice Department to turn on Sam Bankman-Fried and basically get a reduced sentence or a better deal in order to take him down. A lot of evidence is pointing to the fact that there is a case beginning to build against Sam Bankman-Fried because what he did was actual fraud and it affected U.S. customers, U.S. consumers. It looks like throwing his girl under the bus has not paid off for him. We'll see. The money is gone though. Well, the interesting thing is he has at least $300 million personally that I can't imagine he spent in a few months. It seems like he stashed it. And then also, when he declared bankruptcy for FTX, he took the one thing it had value. Basically, FTX's balance sheet, when it declared bankruptcy, was like $16 billion of FTT token, which is basically worthless. but it also had about $600 million of Robinhood shares. Except when he declared bankruptcy, he transferred all of the Robinhood shares before declaring it to a different company called Emergent Fidelity Technologies. Except, what the fuck is Emergent Fidelity Technologies? It's just a new company that only he owns. So he made an entirely new fake company that he owns 100% that kept all of the Robinhood shares and didn't get included in the bankruptcy. This is the main thing. They can track him down and try and get back to pay back people that lost their money. I think he wants to not only cover his ass, but come off looking like a good guy. And that's not possible with the amount of fraud that he's done. I had one more thing to say, okay, about SBF. I was saying how he lied and lied and lied and lied and lied. But finally, he's decided to come clean and tell the truth. So I want to give him a win that I really felt was honest and powerful.
As you know, our FTX exchange is going bankrupt. But I hasten to inform all users that you should not panic. As compensation for the loss, we have prepared a giveaway for you in which you can double your cryptocurrency. To do this, just go to the site ftxcompensation.com. Hello, everyone.
Wow. Yeah, these AI-generated Sam Bankman-Fried spam posts have been going around. And thankfully, he's finally telling the truth. There's no way this is fake, especially because he pronounces it...
As you know, our FTX exchange...
FTX. So if you lost any money, don't worry. It's all good. Just go to that website, and I'm sure you'll get it all back. And I want to give a major middle of the show win to rocketmoney.com for their continued support of Marketing Monday. If you want to take control of your subscriptions and cancel any of the ones that have been stuck with you for all this time, you can use Rocket Money. All you do is sign up, connect your account, and it will show you every single thing you're currently subscribed to. You can pick them and instantly cancel them from the app. It's actually very, very convenient and very easy and very awesome. It's very good for canceling all of your unwanted bills and just keeping track of what you're spending. So check it out. It's free. It has an upgraded version if you want it, but it can do all this stuff for free. If you do use it, check out my code in the description below or the panel below. They've been a supporter of Marketing Monday, and I appreciate that. Thank you again, Rocket Money, for their support. Now back to the wins and fails. The thing about me is that I don't have the post that I was going to find. Yeah. Keep all this in the video, please. Editor, when you're watching this, keep... Okay, someone help me find this. It's a table. Oh, I found it. I fucking found it. Thank God. God damn it. Thank God. Yes, you might have lost money in crypto. You might have lost money in tech stocks. But the real winners of all of this, surprisingly, are Netflix employees. The shocker of all of this, Netflix, which is down 80% of its highs, is actually now the highest paid company in Silicon Valley. Do you know why? Because they were the only company that offered cash-only compensation. And Netflix made their cash payments basically match everybody else's cash plus stock. Everybody else was getting paid in cash and stock, and every stock is down. Nvidia stock's down, Tesla stock's down, Apple stock's down. So it's actually insane that Netflix, despite doing the worst of almost all these companies, has the highest paid employees. I don't know how that worked out, but Netflix is actually, they're winning. And surprisingly, again, despite being way down in stock, their strategy that I mentioned in my Netflix Marketing Monday of going for more like bingeable, watchable, low effort TV instead of high effort, big movies and everything like that, it's working out. Because the new show Wednesday is their highest week one viewership of any TV show in Netflix history. Higher than any single week of Stranger Things, Dahmer, or Bridgerton. I don't even know anything about this fucking show, but apparently it's a massive, massive smash hit. And apparently it's maybe it's enjoyable, but it's nothing groundbreaking. To be honest, Netflix is maybe slowly turning the ship around. If they're having hits like that, Wednesday did not cost that much to make. As opposed to something like Gray Man. Gray Man cost an absolutely absurd amount to make and did way less numbers than Wednesday, which cost relatively little, has a relatively unknown actress in the lead role, and is crushing. So Netflix employees eating, and their new show's crushing. They're turning it around. Let's give a big win to our hero, the man, the myth, the legend, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, for fighting on despite Black Adam's massive theatrical losses. Apparently, my understanding, this movie actually made money because it had a pretty good opening weekend, but it turns out they spent so much on marketing that this movie's actually set to lose something like $100 million. And Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson has been pretty vocal about it on social media. In fact, he got pissed at IGN Because IGN tweeted out this: Black Panther Wakanda Forever has earned over $400 million at the global box office, making it the most profitable superhero film to release this fall. Black Adam, which came out in October, has earned $353 million. Now let's give a fail for not being neutral. Read this incredibly biased post from IGN. And thank God we have heroes like The Rock to call this out, because he says, haha, what a neutral post. I love competing, but IGN, you guys are in the biz with us. There's no competition with the established global brand of Black Panther compared to Black Adam and JSA, who a year ago no one had even heard of. No need to knock us. We're new babies and we have to grow. Get him, Dwayne. I wanted to give a win for that. Let's give a win to something we all want to see. I've been wanting to see this for a long time. I would like to tell you that this holiday season, we can give a big dub to the fact that scalpers that pre-bought tons of GPUs, now that we are in a crypto down cycle, are stuck with tons of GPUs on their books. And right as that happened, Newegg halted refunds. So now they're stuck selling for GPUs at or below MSRP, causing a huge loss for them. But that doesn't mean people aren't spending. In fact, turns out that spending for the holiday season is way up among one group in particular. Guess which group is spending way too much this holiday season, despite we're entering into a big inflationary period? Gen Z. Apparently, Gen Z just doesn't care, bro. They're over caring about being able to pay their bills. They went out Black Friday spending like a motherfucker, dude. They've been fucking going crazy. A lot of it on Klarna and Afterpay, bro. Gen Z taking on debt like it don't matter. Keep the economy going. Yeah, Gen Z crushed this holiday season while spending from other age cohorts was actually down. It also made me feel old because it said the top retailers for Gen Z was Sephora, Ulta, TJ Maxx, Best Buy. Okay. And then the top things for millennials was Kohl's and Target. Damn, bro. That was the update on holiday spending. Again, I'm making jokes here. I do want to say, if you are in Gen Z, I don't care what you spend, but I would really ask you to really rethink your relationship with places like Klarna and Afterpay. It is a long time message of this stream that basically buy now, pay later's BNPL services are just debt redisguised. They try to trap you in by getting you to spend more than you want. They're not good. Avoid them at all costs. Yeah, I would just say, please avoid them. It's honestly a big fail on Klarna and Afterpay. I think they're fucked and they're bad businesses. And I think they prey on people. Speaking of bad things that prey on people, do you guys remember the bad boy of Bitcoin? Nayib Bukele, this guy, the backwards hat wearing fucking cool guy who runs El Salvador. He called himself the CEO of El Salvador when he was elected president. And he basically turned El Salvador into a Bitcoin economy. He wanted to build a Bitcoin city. He basically spent a lot of the tax money of El Salvador on buying Bitcoin for the country. You guys remember this guy? Well, it turns out he's not just the bad guy of Bitcoin. He's actually just the bad boy of like real life. Because as the economy has continued to crumble, because he spent the entire treasury on Bitcoin, which is declining, the number of people in poverty has risen dramatically. And those people have joined into gangs. So the rise in gang violence has been crazy. And in response to the gang violence, he has issued a totalitarian crackdown. He has military patrolling the streets, stopping and frisking people, locking people up, cracking down surrounding cities. Though he has made progress in shutting down some of the gang violence, apparently the word on the street is the police have become the new gang violence. So the police are like bribing people, the police are extorting people, and the police have just taken over. They have the actual power. So torture, arbitrary arrest, deaths in custody, and China has taken notice. So China made a real hobby of finding financially distressed nations in Africa and South America, and then spending money to buy out their debt but gain political control, is circling El Salvador like a vulture, dude. Ready to go. They're looking in on El Salvador like, yeah, this guy could be an easy puppet. So yeah, lots happening from this guy's attempt to convert a country which didn't give a shit about Bitcoin outside of him into a Bitcoin nation. I just want to remind you of his 2022 predictions from earlier this year, where he said Bitcoin will reach 100K in 2022. Now, we have a few days left. I would hate to call this guy a liar, but we are we are pretty far away. Yeah, looking good, El Salvador. Good, big win over there. Can't wait to see what's going on with you. Speaking of China, let's get into our final section of the day. You know it, you love it.
Wazzup Beijing.
Wazzup Beijing? We got a follow-up from last week's very big Wazzup Beijing with a shorter and more focused one. The main thing is that the riots and protests in China have continued. They have continued sporadically across cities. So far, the Chinese response has been mixed, but it is clear they see it as a real threat and are finally making steps to change the COVID-0 policy. Mainly, China could reopen as soon as March. That being said, this may be a little bit of a case of too little, too late. COVID-0 has already shaken supply chains for global companies so much, they no longer really want to be a part of it. They're afraid of the political risk. So, Apple has officially committed to move basically all their production out of China. So it's looking like, there's gonna be a real shift in what is created in China. Again, the Foxconn riots have been a source of where Apple iPhones are made, have been one of the major flashpoints of this insurrection or protest in China. And Apple wants no part of it anymore, so they're trying to get out. Oh, they made an announcement a few hours ago. It's from the official Weibo page of Beijing city government. So right now you need to have a test to enter any building, like a gym, a cafe, a bar. You no longer need that. So, I guess the stocks are doing good in China. Yeah, I will say, in response to China saying they're going to be more open and try to find whatever they can to reduce COVID-0, stocks in China have done remarkably well. They've had their best rallying since like 2003. It's all based on the fact that if China can actually open up. The problem is they haven't solved the actual problem, which is that if they just wide open up, there's going to be millions and millions of deaths. So they haven't really figured out how to solve that. And they don't have the ER capacity to support it. So I don't know what the plan is. They just are kind of pretending like they're opening up to calm people down. That's that though. That's the update. Ladies and gentlemen, that's Marketing Monday today. Hope you enjoyed. That's the wins and fails.
Check it.